My name is Trevan Brandor. I am the Director of Community Engagement and Outreach with our Family and Community Engagement team within Denver Public Schools. In our district, we have 207 schools. We range from anywhere between 85,000 and 90,000 students. At any given time, we speak between 160 and 200 different languages. In this last year, we had a large influx of our newcomer and our migrant families come to Denver, like 3,500 plus families. A lot of those families are coming from Venezuela and other places. And the unique thing about this is that we're having so many of the same language speakers at the same time. Typically, when we have a lot of our newcomer families come, it's from all over. And so we're able to kind of spread it out based off of who has those supports in their school. And right now, we have a large influx of our Spanish-speaking populations. And so our Spanish-speaking community is actually our majority. We also have a large Vietnamese-speaking population. There's pockets in our city where, we have families speaking Swahili, Amharic, and other languages. And so it's really, important that we just have the tools, again, and the strategies to be able to support a very multicultural district. We use our ILAs for parents and adults. It's something that we use for things like welcoming you into our school or our community hub. We have community hubs in our 6 regions, our 6 areas of the city. And so those are able to take in families and have a really big wraparound multi-generational approach to the service provision that's happening there. And it's really important when mom, grandma, uncle walks in, that someone is there and able to greet them in a welcoming way, in a safe way. And nothing feels safer or more welcoming than your home or your preferred language, right? Slang words in different languages can be integrated into the back side of the device so that when they're talking, in Chilean or another language, that it's capturing those certain slang words, and then it's actually making sure that what you're getting for messaging is very clear and not a different usage of that word. And so things like that are really important because sometimes we're working with older parents, sometimes we're working with younger parents, and all of them generationally talk a different way. And so just being able to, again, have a device that supports that differentiation is really important. It's welcoming people in a way that honors them. So as we're out at events, sometimes we get requests for other languages. So having this device allows us to have something in our back pocket where we can say, hey, we can still communicate with you, let you know what's going on here. And that just gives us a better opportunity to actually retain your participation and your engagement. We think about how do we make our language accessible? So you got to think about the parents with limited, academic skill sets or language skills. And how do we make sure that they're still understanding what's important so that their kiddo doesn't miss out on this cool opportunity, right? It'd be that thing that sparks that for that child and really gets them invested. When we use our ILA, it makes our families and our parents smile. Just getting to hear, someone talk to them in a language that they truly understand and feel comfortable in is just a really empowering space. And so for me, that's what really resonates when I think of these. Because I think of those interactions I've had with a few folks already and been able to say, I'm just really glad we can have this conversation, or we can even engage this way, because we probably wouldn't have if it was just left up to us and being in our own preferred languages. We do have a pretty robust translation and interpretation services team who supports a lot of various, needs around these areas. And so we'll always go to them first. We can use their capacity for what it needs to be leveraged for, and the important things that have to have those certified and trained interpreters and translators supporting them, right? We're trying to have another tool. We're trying to have another way to make sure that if you are a parent or a community partner and you come into one of our buildings, that you have an opportunity to talk to somebody, to express your needs, and then to know that we're going to work on that. In a language that you understand where we're going. Of course, there's folks who have used Google Translate or work with, another team member. Typically in a school, you'll try to find someone who speaks that language or someone in a nearby school. Also, people try to leverage children. If you have the language line, that just is an initial amount of time that you spend getting something up and ready so you can communicate with folks versus having a device that can sit at the front. Just tap the front and it turns on, and then they can look through the list and they're like, oh, that's the language I was actually looking for. And it always really surprises them. These are really cool and innovative, devices. It's going into spaces that just allow us to have that connection or to deepen that connection and to say, we care about you, we want to talk to you. And we have seen that there is a want for that. And so for us right now, where we have been able to leverage it is by, welcoming folks at some of the events that we're having. We support our ESS team, that's our Exceptional Student Services team, who work with our students in special education and with disabilities. We also use them on my teams. I have the community engagement team, so we do district-wide events. We have a youth workforce team. And so on occasion, there's opportunities to use it there. We also have a Face Family Connect. And it's one of our programs where we have some social workers. Their expertise is social work. Their expertise is not, many, many languages. And this has been a device that has allowed them to open conversations or to get things started. Just being able to have this device allows them to really feel comfortable and supported. I would say we have approximately 15 to 30 devices. And so some of those are housed where a larger part of our team is that goes out for district-wide events. And so it allows that flexibility to come and check those out. Because there's something that is leveraged quite a bit, we want to just have those structures for how folks can check them out. In the hubs, they're there and they're used more often for welcoming and just greeting and bringing people in. Also, another reason that they're housed in one of our central locations is we work with our liaisons across the district. And so it's an opportunity when they have different events coming up where we can actually have them be using these devices because they have families coming through a lot as well and want to make sure that they're supporting them in those welcoming ways and maximizing their budget for interpretation translation when they need to. So I would say we're very flexible with how we use it. Our hubs definitely have a lot more of our classes. And so that's where things like broadcast mode and the QR code are a lot more valuable for our teams in application, just because then they're able to, if a family member is virtual one day, they're able to still bring them in and connect them. We really value the opportunity to be able to do things in multiple languages at once. And so when we can increase that awareness and understanding with our multicultural community at the same time and bring those perspectives from community members to the table in their native language or preferred language, the other parents, our teammates get to hear that and experience that. And it just allows you to reflect on how we can truly be more inclusive to the needs and wants of our family and our community members. We get everyone trained on using the devices with ILA and Translative Live and have really appreciated their support in making sure that it's accessible for our teammates. The great thing about the team over at Translate Live is that they're always sharing, all of the new features with us. When there's an opportunity to be trained on the new features, they reach out and let us know. And so it's not like they just hide the features and it just pops up one day in your updates like, hey, there's this new cool thing. But they actually reach out to us and they're like, no, I think this is how you could use it. And so it's really nice to have that type of a partner who's thinking about that too. We want to continue to look at how can we deepen our application in the future with our ILAs. I think we see that there's a number of spaces we want to use them. We want to just increase the use of it so that this just becomes something that people are familiar with and see often. So when you do see it, then you're like, I know that's where I can go if I need that support. And when folks walk into our events where we have translation and interpretation supports, that's what happens. They see those folks and they know the same, four folks. And so they're like, oh yeah, those are my people who are going to make sure I understand this. That's what we want for our ILAs. When you walk into one of our classrooms at a community hub, you know that it's going to be a space that's accessible to you. You know that we're going to be flexible so we can bring you in and that we can still work with some of those questions that we might not be able to answer if we were left to our own devices. I've seen my teams just value that they can talk to many more people. In our district, like I said, we have a lot of Spanish-speaking families. And so being able to go out into that space and just feel a bit more comfortable is a really empowering thing for our teammates as well. In terms of the value, it saves us time. It creates opportunities where we can be more nimble and flexible to the needs of our community. And it just allows us to, better communicate with them. And that's tremendously critical in our work. If another school asks me why they should use the ILA, which does happen like a lot. Often it's not just schools, but it's school districts as well who are asking about this. And because Denver is one of our larger districts in Colorado, we get to be someone that people look to. And so I learned about this from another school district in Colorado, Hooter, and I was like, wow, this is amazing. This was something where the value was really clear to us of being able to communicate with our families. And in a big district like ours, we have supports, but in other districts, they don't always have all of those supports. And so if that's a challenge for you in your school or your school district, then I would look at the ILA, because it's something that allows you to have these conversations, create a warm and welcoming space. And it just continues the conversation for your team with the folks who need the conversation and need to be in your spaces. The team at Translate Live has been super wonderful because it's not just on us as leaders in our district or, in our spaces to make sure our teams are equipped with how this works. And so we were able to set up time where I didn't even have to, I attended my own first training when I was learning about the device, but I didn't have to attend the training with our whole team. And it was done virtually. And so it was really accessible. I just really appreciate that the team is attentive to our needs. I appreciate that they're always thinking about innovation. We love what we do. And again, it's getting to work with the right types of partners and tools that make our work just that much more impactful. And so for me, if I could say anything else, it's just, if you need support with talking with your families, check this out.